Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced yesterday the cutting of nearly $500 million of grants and contracts for developing mRNA vaccines. mRNA shots were first used during the COVID-19 pandemic. They instruct the body to produce a fragment of a virus, which then sets off an immune response. Unlike traditional vaccines, they can be made within months and quickly altered as the virus changes. Many scientists and infectious disease experts quickly denounced this move and stressed the importance of mRNA research. The director of the Pandemic Center at Brown University put it like this, quote, "Had we not used life-saving mRNA vaccines, we would have had millions of more COVID deaths." Kennedy yesterday explained the decision, insisting the government will instead prioritize the development of whole virus vaccines.
For some illnesses, mRNA vaccines may be very useful, and that would include cancers. But for upper respiratory infections, we canceled 22 trials for upper respiratory infections. But right now, we're developing a universal vaccine at NIH, which is a vaccine that addresses the entire phylum of viruses. And so it's a vaccine that mimics natural immunity, and it is effective against any kind of mutation. So it doesn't drive the virus to mutate. And it could be effective. We believe it's going to be effective against not only coronaviruses, but also flu.
You know, John Heilemann, we talked earlier this morning with Jim Vandehei, and I was saying, you know, the Americans that decide elections really between the 40-yard lines, using a football analogy. He goes, no, actually, it's like most are between like the 25-yard lines. They're the extremists on both sides that actually gin up most of the noise and have most of the power in the parties. And we're talking about how these extremes always blow back on the party that goes too far one way or another. This may play very well on the extremes of the far right, and yes, on the far left in some cases. But this blows back against the administration that does it, doesn't it? Like with people in middle America who have vaccinated their children, who actually saw the COVID vaccine as a good idea. You go through the list. Yeah, there are people that are really hot and bothered about it on both sides of the extremes. But, man, this just seems like, again, the gutting of this funding, it seems like one more thing that are going to have voters in the middle scratching their heads.
Well, Joe, it kind of links back to the other story we were talking about earlier in the hour, which is the redistricting thing in Texas. I mean, you don't get that impulse from Trump going to Governor Abbott and saying, you know, we need to redistrict right now if he's not in a position of political weakness. It's a clear reflection of the notion that Donald Trump is starting to get really worried about the prospect of losing the House of Representatives in 2026. He has got good reason for that. He's broadly unpopular, despite his assertions that there are polls out there that show him with a 70% approval rating. I don't know of any credible poll that shows anything like that. We have a lot of polls that show him in the low 40s and high 30s. We have him sinking on economic numbers. We have him sinking into the mid 30s on immigration, which was his strongest issue coming into this year. And broadly speaking, the extremism of the administration is not popular out there. And so you see Trump now realizing what the consequences of that are. And I think the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. thing is part of that, picture of an administration that's governing in ways that the broad American middle doesn't like.